have that cool setup like you and Jeffries do. The multiple computers and monitors and all that. All right, we're live here with Matt Pangrac from Bass Talk Live, his second appearance on the Baitman live show. Matt, welcome back.
What's going on, Baitman? How are you doing?
Well, I've been working all week, and I've been trying to catch a little BTL in the mornings, as always, before or after I get off work. Some people it's during work or before they go to work, and y'all been banging it lately. Lots of awesome guests. Now you're doing a little BTL in the evenings. Tell me about that. What side y'all make do a little evening stream?
Man, that just has to do with Jeffrey's schedule. He's got the basketball coach and all sorts of that stuff. So we got to get it in when we get it in. But man, he came back up. You listen to BTL, Jeffrey's had like a slip and a fall, and he was out for 2 months, and he came back. But man, the guy is all about BTL now. So we're banging out all sorts of content. I've been on the road for the last month, it seems.
Yeah, man.
About the last month. I think I've had 3 opens, but he's had Ken Duke jump in and Frank Scalish and a bunch of different guest hosts. So racking out the content over on BTL. So, but hey, it's all good.
Yeah, I actually took a little bit of a break there for a while, and sometimes you got to. I know you really haven't had much of a break. You haven't been sending me any bait pictures lately. I had a box full of wiggle warts. I had old buzz bait photos coming in, and then it just stopped. And I was like, man, Matt's got to be in fishing mode. So
Yeah, I was in fishing mode, and here's the crazy thing. I was thinking about it. So 3 open. So the past like 6 weeks, I've had 3 opens, and then the Bass Nation Regional in Kansas for this Oklahoma State team. And I think I've bought maybe $30 worth of tackle.
no kidding.
Between all of that. Like, have not gone to tackle stores. I mean, like, it's been crazy. Like, like, if I needed to, I would have, but I haven't. I've just used the same dang thing for a freaking month.
Before we get in that, you know whose birthday today is, right?
Whose birthday?
It's Joanne from Mike's Tackle World.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
How did you know that?
Well,
On
it
Facebook?
actually it showed up on my Facebook feed this morning, so I had to wish Joanne a birthday.
Heck yeah.
It
Joanne Lowe, she's the owner of Mike's Tackle World there. Mike passed away, 3 years ago now?
Yeah,
4?
yeah, I believe so.
3 years ago?
Yeah,
But she, if I remember right, she didn't even know English when she came over here.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, there's like a story. My dad actually got the story from her. You have to catch her like in a good mood when no one's been like bitching about the price of minnows and stuff.
Yeah,
and then you could get the whole freaking story from her. But yeah, I would venture to say one of the top 10 most interesting tackle stores in the country.
dude. I did that video, and her family reached out to me and was like, "This is awesome," and they've put it on their page, and he said that we've got so many more new customers. She was telling me about all the people that were driving and saying we saw it on Baitman and whatnot, and I'm like, I always heard it was like this little hidden gem, and I'll be honest, when I pulled up, I was like, man, this is kind of like crazy.
It's right across from Staley's. They do soybean processing.
Yes.
So like you go over this like industrial bridge, and if you're from Decatur, which I am, like you're used to the smell. It doesn't smell bad at all or anything. But if you're not from there, you're like, oh my gosh, what is? I mean, it's just massive industrial. There's like 50 train tracks, and then it's like a couple gas stations, and you're kind of like, I need to make sure the truck is locked. And then there's just this like little red brick building, and it says Mike's Tackle World out front, and there's like 3 places to park, and you're not allowed to park in any of the 3. Have you ever noticed?
Yeah.
It's like no parking. So you like pull up to the side and you go in, and it's just like boom, just like everything that you could ever imagine.
We just got a $20 donation from Hunter Nixon Fishing. Hunter, appreciate that donation to the channel, to the show, and glad to have you guys in. Be sure to make sure you smash the like button, share it around. I haven't streamed on Thursday night forever. Saturday's really been my deal. But one quick thing, that BTL hat, I appreciate my Bass Talk Live shirt as a fan of the show. That's how I figure I can support you guys.
I appreciate it. I'm going to have to grab a Baitman shirt. I was looking down here. I like those. Those are freaking kind of like retro.
Yeah, I'd like to do some more stuff with the Pro. I got a couple really good ideas. But you know how the YouTube world is. I'm kind of afraid to put them out there because somebody could copy it. And
Yeah.
I'm not. And to be honest, I'm not going to pay to have anything trademarked. So I'll just put it out there, and if they want to copy it afterwards, that's fine. But anyway, yeah, Mike's Tackle World, just it's unreal how much stuff she's got packed in there, and I've heard she's got like this secret vault. Like I've been told by some locals that, oh yeah, she's got stuff in storage bins and containers.
The way I understand it, and I might have said this on the last live stream, the original Mike's Tackle World had a fire. And they took all that freaking inventory and everything, and they put it in storage. And then from the fire, from the old place, that was still good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they opened up the new store, they started stocking it, and there's still, like, stuff in storage.
That's
like,
crazy.
The stuff.
Yeah.
The good stuff.
That's the stuff I would like to find. I feel like when you're traveling on the road and stuff like that, I love to stop by tackle stores and everything. And it's been a while since I've really, really traveled. But the cool thing with YouTube and connecting with people on Instagram and stuff, I get all these like DMs of like, hey, if you're ever going through this part of Mississippi or this part of Missouri, there's this store over here. And they'll send me a photo. Someone did one time. It was just all old school Lucky Crafts, not the remakes.
Oh, wow.
It was all like.
The RC 1.5s,
Yeah.
the Stacy's, the 78 SPs.
And then I'm like, here's my PayPal, grab me this. And I'm like, sure, And
the SKT minis, the Gerald Swindles, all those?
Yeah.
Oh, those are the deal.
Yeah, And, so Lucky Crafts come back out with a lot of that stuff, but the packaging is different. And that's where I go in Baitman mode. I'm like, all right, this package is for this, and this is the new. And if I had the time, I'd love to write like a book. You know how like when you go to those old antique stores and they'll have like certain Chinaware and it's like from 1945 to whenever, and you turn the page and it's like, well, this is this year's model plate, and this is what the sweet tea dispenser looked like, and this is and as far as more you go back, pictures updated. Man, it'd be cool to have a bait reference book. You know what I mean? So
it totally would, yeah, like Antiques Roadshow style.
Yeah.
See, what I want to do is do like the bait, like the exact thing you're talking, but like do it Mythbuster style, to where you scientifically look at the difference between a Norman, Oklahoma pre-storm wigglewort and a Minnetonka, Minnesota wigglewort, and now a current wigglewort, and you put the thing in and you actually determine like what is the actual difference in these baits, like what is the sound difference, the cadence, the vibration, like actually to where you can say here's the difference in the bait scientifically, not just a dude going, oh well, I mean these work better than the other ones.
Oh, they hunt, that's the biggest thing. All the old ones hunt.
They'll hunt. But if I could sit there and it could be like, yeah, this bait has a span that's 1.5 feet wider and its rattle is X whatever deeper, and you can look at the graph and see all that, then you'd be like, okay, yeah, no, now I see why it's working.
Yeah. Another one I'd love to do that with. I love that idea, and I've wanted to do it so bad. Is like the Booyah One Knocker, the old one versus the new one.
Versus that they say is the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, bait reference book to where you just like look at it, you just flip right to it. That's a great idea. I mean, there's like it'd be like the Ken Duke of baits.
Yeah, that's my goal in life. Maybe I'm not going to be the guy that's obviously fishing on tour, but if I've got enough guys that call me like, man, I was in the shop and this is what I bought. Is this the right one? I'm like, well, what's the package look like? And Tim, I'm like, yeah, that's the good stuff. I'm like, man, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, I have no life. So, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about the opens. So you've been fishing the opens this year. Was actually pretty close to me. I was trying to con you into coming up to Kentucky Lake, which actually hasn't fished bad this year, believe it or not.
No, I've seen some big ones from Kentucky Lake.
Yeah. Also, shout out to one of my local guys, Jordan Hartman, a friend of mine, Murray State Angler. He's leading that Toyota on Chickamauga, which may be the most pressured lake in the country.
Yeah, they got over 200 boats in that thing.
Yeah.
He's leading it, so he hit 20
Yeah,
right on the nuts.
20 right on the nuts. He's caught them really good on Kentucky Lake. He's won some good tournaments here. And then a kid I fish with a lot, Hunter the Hammer. He's in 16th. He had 16 pounds or something like that. So, but Kentucky Lake's fished pretty good, and you fish Pickwick, which arguably, I mean, for numbers, is probably one of the better lakes in the country.
Yeah, you can get a lot of bites out there. I could never figure out how to catch the big ones.
Yeah, it seems like Pickwick hits a lull actually before they really run out deep. Like it's really good February to like end of March, 1st of April, and then it does this lull thing where you don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, it was obvious what they were doing. They were on those shallow ledges in the grass. I mean, I worked. I'll tell you a quick little story about Pickwick. So this Tuesday of practice. So like, I room with Brad Hallman and Andrew Upshaw and that, and we're all fishing all 9 opens, and you combine all 9 for the points. So you really can't suck in any of them. Like really suck because they only, it's 200 points for first, 199. And I knew, I've been there enough. I talked to enough people. I knew where it was going to go down. Like I knew how it was going to go down. And that's not my jam. Just I haven't done current driven TVA fisheries fishing on those shallow ledges that time of year. But I went out and figured it out, tried to figure it out. I mean, I spent 10 hours one day of practice in a 5-mile stretch. All the guys were there. The guys who were in the top 10 were there. And Hallman's around, and we kind of talked to each other throughout the day. And he's like, yeah, I've got 5 schools. I've got 6 schools, blah, blah, blah. And I just had a freaking meltdown, Baitman. I was like, oh, well, you catch all these fish. I don't know how you're doing it. I'm not finding them. I'm not doing it. And he came over and he jumped in my boat, and he goes, here, I'll show you how you go down. And he looks at my graph, and he's like, oh, no, you're doing it right. And I'm like, I quit.
Yeah.
So I literally quit trying to do that, and I went and I did my own thing. But Pickwick is freaking insane, man. There's so many fish in that lake, and it's so healthy as much as it gets pressured. But I think you have a combination of it's very fertile from one end to the other. I mean, you had guys running up to the dam, you had guys down at the other dam, you had guys running all over the place, doing all sorts of stuff.
Oh.
I ran to a different lake.
Whoa, we had someone, I didn't know it would pop up, but it said someone bought a sticker. Awesome. Well, thank you, anonymous person who bought a Baitman sticker. I appreciate that.
That is a cool sticker.
Yeah, I never know it would give me notifications if someone bought something. Yeah, I got the chartreuse purple crankbait.
What kind of crankbait is that?
I'm not sure. It's kind of like looks like a little pig dog or maybe a little John.
I got you.
Yeah. Let's start at the beginning of the open season. By the way, Matt requested we keep this under 2 hours. He's got a hot date tonight, and
I don't have a hot date. She just was like, hey, how long is this going to take? I want to watch a movie. And I said, we can watch a movie at 10. So if something happens, I can get out of the doghouse. We can go all night long. But
no, that's you and Jeffries are doing the 24-hour stream. I was going to do that New Year's, and I was like, there's no way. I might can last like an hour.
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to do that because we did a call-in show. It was like 2.5 hours, and I was like, okay, that's plenty.
Yeah. Well, if you need somebody to fill some time, I'm sure I got a couple.
You'll be on the list.
I got a couple hours of buzzbait talk in me, I'm sure.
Oh heck yeah, Jeffries would be all about that. That's his 3rd favorite bait behind the Carolina rig and the spook.
Man, to be honest, I believe the spook might be one of the hottest baits in the country right now if it's bone colored because of Lee Livingston.
It's going pretty good right now. Yeah.
I apologize for this, but I don't follow the opens as close as anything or very closely. I do keep up with people. I keep up with you and some friends that fish it, whatnot. So where did you start your open tour? And how many? You're fishing all divisions, correct?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it started on the Harris chain in March. So Florida. We went Florida, then we went to Douglas in Tennessee. We went to Florida. We were supposed to go to Smith in Alabama. It got canceled because of flooding. So then we went to Pickwick or Douglas in Tennessee, then Pickwick in Tennessee, and then the James River in Virginia. So next we have Oneida, then Thousand Islands, then Norman, then Smith, then Grand. So we got 4 down and 5 to go. So, I mean, it's like a full tour all over the country, heavily on the East Coast. I'm driving out to the East Coast 4 separate times.
Wow.
That's like 1,300. That's like a 2,500-mile trip 4 separate times this year.
That is...
it's insane.
There's a rough schedule. And just...
I'll actually do it 3 times. I'll stay up there between Thousand Islands and Norman.
So are you looking forward to that little northern swing up there, Thousand Islands, and I believe Oneida and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So, like, with the financial investment in it and then fishing for the points and trying to do it all, like, I am having the time of my life, and there's nothing I'd rather be doing. I say that because the next thing I'm saying is it is not enjoyable.
Right.
It is. It is not enjoyable to have. It's a freaking stress level that I didn't know existed in fishing, and so what I've done with the bass zone, I've covered, I went to every single Elite Series event for 10, 11 years, and I've fished, the open starting in 15 and coastal levels and stuff, but it's just kind of been like, hey, I'm going to fish it, obviously take it seriously, try my best, but this year I'm like all in on it, and dude, I have a whole new respect for these guys who grind it out on the pro circuits and the tour and the Elite Series, and
yeah, dude, it's crazy. And also think of when we always talk about the anglers, but think about the service crews and the camera operators and stuff like that. Now, sometimes bass contract some local guys, but I knew at one time it's pretty much the same. There's at least 4 or 5 that were diehards that went to every tournament. You got Overstreet, he takes photos at all events. I mean, it's a grind to put an event together. I don't think many people realize that.
Yeah, it is. And then, I mean, when you're fishing in it, it's just like, I'm amazed I don't have an ulcer yet. Like, it's a lot more stressful than you realize, because what I've done is I've put myself in a hole like every single first day, and it's like you reach a point where you have like 3 hours left on the second day, and you're like, all right, I gotta make something happen here. Because, I mean, the alternative is you finish 160th and your season's over before it even starts.
That's crazy.
With 225 boats, it's real easy to get buried. So, I mean, I literally finished middle of the pack in Florida, and that's killing me right now. I finished 111th out of 222. And I made a bad mistake on day 1, and it burned me for the whole tournament. And other than that, I've made good mistakes, and I've been 6 ounces from a check at Pickwick, 6 ounces from a check at the James River, and like a pound 2 ounces from a check at Douglas. And each one too, I freaking farmed the check fish.
Dude, that's right. I did hear from you after Pickwick, because I'm an idiot and I read Bass Track and I said congratulations. Oh, yeah. And you're like, no, dude, I finished 1 ounce out of the money, and I felt so bad.
No, it's all good. You didn't have to feel bad. Bass Track and the leaderboard are right next to each other. I try to fill out the Bass Track because my mom watches all this. Like, she watches the Bassmasters on FS1 and calls me. Is like, "Are you watching this? This is insane." She's 73 years old. Watches every single minute of it. We'll watch the whole 5-hour open weigh-in on the computer, but. Yeah, no, that was Bass Track. So, but hey, the silver lining to that is I'm still in it. They take the 3 from each division, top 3 from each division, the top 3 overall. So, I mean, I'm still alive in the Centrals, the Northerns, and the overall. So basically halfway through the year, I've still got 3 of my 4 avenues open to the Elite Series. I'm 82nd in the points in the Southerns with a 64th and 111.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. But as quick as you can bomb, too, you can have 2 really good ones back to back and really shoot up. I know I've seen that happen.
Yeah, I did that last year. I finished like 37th at Sam Rayburn and then 11th at Neely Henry, and I went into the last one and I was like, holy cow! Like, here we are in like a top 20 and I'm on the Elite Series. Yeah. So I mean, it's crazy to see how that momentum actually rolls. The biggest thing is like a kicker, a 4-pound bite. Until the second day on the James River, I had 2 4-pounders, but I'd gone 7 consecutive days catching anywhere from 8 to 35 keepers. And I mean, culling through multiple limits. And I never caught a 4-pounder. We're talking a lot of lakes and a lot of bites on lakes that have big fish. And I was just like, what the heck? So I'd come in with anywhere from 11 to 14 pounds. And I'm just like, man, we're one 4-pound bite and I'm golden.
How much, people always say there's a lot of luck in fishing, and I would say there's a small percentage of that, but, how much does that play into, you talked about getting that 4-pound bite, or you made a bad call, or, stuff like that. How much more does that play on the opens when you're really trying to, it's a points playoff, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to get your points right so you can get on the Elite Series. Do you think you need just a little bit more extra luck in those opens versus if you're already on the tour? You got two options: you can fish for a check or you can fish to win.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I think if you really, really want to slam the opens, you just have to have a big set of nuts. That's what it comes down to. Because, dude, you're going to be $3,000 in on that tournament.
Yep.
And there's 225 guys. I mean, I get real analytical on this. Like, what it comes down to is to get in that top 10, you're going to have a couple guys that get lucky. That's a matter of fact. They're not from there. They don't know what's up. They freaking get lucky. They get a big bite. They stumble on something. You're going to have 2 or 3 guys like we saw, like a Brandon Polinick and stuff that won the last one at the James River. 2 are guys that are just better than the average cat. They're going to fish the open. They're going to take 2 or 3 spots. You're going to have 2 or 3 freaking local hammers that have put their time in that everybody says, Jim Smith, he'll be in the finals. And sure enough, he's going to be in the finals because he's playing a brush out there for 30 years and he sits on the front seat of his butt seat and triangulates everything since 1978.
Yeah,
so
like
really,
a little David Fritz out there.
Yeah, you've got like 1 or 2 spots open in the top 10 for a regional guy who's trying to qualify, who's busting his butt, who's coming in there, who can get in that top 10 to have a chance to win. Because there were 70 guys from Virginia that fished the James River and 60 guys that were on Pickwick. I mean, you look down at it, it was literally like the Pickwick Invitational Guide Tournament. I mean, it's guys who, but it's like that every single where you go. It'll be like that at Grant. It'll be like that up north, Thousand Islands, So
it's funny you say that because every year when they're having the Stren Series, Toyota Series here on Kentucky Lake, which they're not having one this year, and they didn't have one last year. It's about two years in a row they haven't had a Toyota / Stren / Costa Everstart. I just always call them Everstarts. When I was growing up, it was the Everstart series. But
Everstart, Stren, Costa, Toyota.
Yeah,
I feel like we missed one in there.
We did.
There was another one for like a year or 2.
I'll think of it. Again, that's FLW.
Toyota.
I don't know if we can ask Ken Duke. He's the bass historian, but there's Costa.
It's Toyota, Everstart. And then it was Costa before that. And before Costa, it was Everstart, right?
I believe so.
And before Everstart, it was Stren?
No, Stren was after... Stren was before...
Everstart?
After Everstart, I believe. Hellabass might know. He's down here.
There's another one that was in there it was only like that for a year, I feel like.
Yeah, but all those are really confusing. But anyway, so of course I was working in tackle shops or whatnot, and the pros would come in, some tour guys, and they're like, man, you know how hard it is to win this event on Kentucky Lake? There's so many local hammers that cherry pick this tournament. And he said it.
But they're all going for the bites. That's what I was saying. Right. That's why you have to have a pair, because you have to say, I am not going to cash a check in this event. I'm either going to be in the top 10 or I'm going to finish 108.
Right.
Like, if you want to, win, have a better chance of winning that open, you have to have, I feel like some of the times I've had, really damn good days, really good days. And you're, 45th. It's insanely hard. For me, for a guy who's a grinder, then you have other guys who roll in, like a KJ Queen, and they're like, oh, these opens, let's just fish 8 of them and make the Elite Series.
Yeah, that's, Matt Robertson just lives down the road from me, and if, he qualified for Classic a hard way, which is through the federation or
through the team championship is how he qualified for the first one,
and then he almost done it again. But then he made it to the Opens the next year. His first real chance at it through the Opens, he made it. That's pretty tough. But Matt, they're that big. He's not. He's either going to zero or he's going to hero. Yep. And he's actually had a pretty decent year on the Elite Series. He's been he's made the top 35 once or twice, but he's also been right there on that bubble, you know, a couple times, that 52nd, 54th, 60th, where one fish totally changes it. And he's still really confident, you know. He's already locked into the Classic this year. But he's like, man, I want to get qualified again. I don't have to worry about it, you know. So he's just right there. I think he's in the top 40 at Guntersville right now. So
yeah,
now
he'll win one. I mean, he does. He knows how to win. He knows how to catch those big fish.
I do feel like some anglers, once they taste victory, that's all it takes. They just gotta taste it once. Look at Paul and it. Once he won one, dude, that he may be the best fisherman out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a Ford versus Chevy deal. But I mean,
yeah.
Jordan Lee, Jacob Wheeler, and Brandon Polinick.
Yeah, you know.
And Edwin.
Man, I really feel there's actually about 10 guys you could make that argument with, but it would be.
And every week it just changes.
Yeah, because it seems
Patrick
like
Walters.
All of a sudden Wheeler wins one.
They're all like kind of the same.
Yeah, Wheeler wins one, then Polinick won another one. Then, by the way, Jordan Lee just won another event. You know,
there's like 8 guys, and then you look at their resume, and you're like, well, how do you not put them in there?
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
I think it varies on a week-to-week basis.
I just always remember Polinick from the Classic in Louisiana, where he just smashed him on a square bill.
Yep.
And Van Dam. And really, if you want to, speaking of baits, draw a tournament that put a bait on a map, dude, after that tournament, everybody had a square bill. Like Strike King, Excalibur, which was Booyah at the time. All these companies, everybody's mass producing square bills.
Was Brandon throwing a bandit?
I can't remember. I thought he was that. Remember they made that square bill bandit? Not the 100, but it was like a.
It was a little bit longer.
Yeah, it was a bigger, fatter bandit. They made it.
So I was just listening to his Angler of the Year speech, because that's the type of nerd that I am.
That's all right.
And he was talking about how he found that crankbait that he caught all those fish on in the Classic in a bargain bin for $1.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Like, that was not a good selling bandit bait. So I remember I wasn't working in a tackle store, but I was working for Mike Otten then, because I had to go down there and film some stuff with Zell. Like, drove from Benton, Kentucky, all the way to Shreveport to film 20 minutes with Zell rolling on a pop-bar, and then come back that night.
It was Hellebast says it was a Rayovac for a minute.
That's it, the Rayovac. That's it. Thank you, Hellebast.
I knew there was a battery in there.
I knew it wasn't interstate. I knew it was something weird, and actually bought a lot of Rayovac batteries because of that, and I still do. But I always like to support the FLW. You know, they're in my hometown. But
wasn't Christie wrapped by Rayovac for a couple years?
I think so. Yeah, that's when it was doing damage there on FLW.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the square bill. You're right. That 11. So Rook was in there. Aaron, if I remember right. Rook, Aaron, Polinick, Van Dam.
Yeah.
And there was a couple guys on the outside who like moved on the inside and jacked him on day 2 also.
Yep. Didn't Rook catch a bunch on spinnerbait too?
Possibly. I want to say Duckett might have been part of that mix too for a while.
That's one I'd love to go back and watch. Love to go back and watch it. I remember watching parts of it, and I was actually editing Classic Patterns on the weekend when that tournament was going on. So I had like Classic coverage, but it wasn't like you just had daily updates, or it might have been you'd get like an hour live coverage on ESPN. It wasn't like Bass Live or anything like that. But you read the blog. I would always read the blogs on the website.
Refresh it.
Yeah.
Refresh.
Dude, speaking of, how awesome is tournament coverage right now?
It's killing it.
Yeah.
It's killing it. It's freaking awesome to watch it. Yeah, Duckett. He finished 6th in that Classic. Yeah, Faircloth. Was Faircloth in that mix?
Maybe
Might have been. I
Hellabass
know
is
Aaron was.
Derek Rimmets.
Van Dam, Aaron, Derek Remitz, Polinick, Chapman. God, Kevin won that tournament by 10 pounds.
Yeah, dude. He slayed. And then he got a bunch of baits with his name on it so he could make more.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I was saying is before that, you really only had Lucky Craft making a square bill. They were making the RC series, and then which basically inspired the KVD and all that stuff. Man, I guess I've been pretty excited about the tournament fishing after Lee won that event at Fork. It just everything went crazy. I think a lot of people that weren't fans of bass, I don't mean bass fishing, not just Bassmaster, watched that and were like, dude, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. Lake Fork's the way to do that. But people don't see I think they're doing some live stuff from the opens now, and I think it's a really good thing because you're going to get some guys. Don't take this the wrong way. People that don't know who a Matt Pangrac is, even though the world of YouTube bass fishing does. They don't know some of these other guys that are really good fishermen that are just, they need a break, and if they can make it to that elite series level like a Matt Robertson, they can show their personality, show their skills, and people, and get some new fans, and it brings more traction to the sport.
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really talented guys in the opens. I've gotten to know actually Joel Willard this year and Greg Mansfield.
Yep.
That Andy Rebar guy, I don't know him, but you look at what that Saki Masuabi has done after he won at Rayburn. He's second in the points. There's a lot of guys who are, really dialed in there. And, there's a lot of people who shouldn't know who any of these guys are because, dude, it's like literally grinding in the minor leagues.
Right.
You didn't know who any of these pitchers that are day one starters are when they were in Double-A and a 10th round pick.
No.
Just the diehards who followed it were, and it's also an interesting deal with the opens because you have a lot of guys who, you literally just have to pay an entry fee to fish the things.
Right.
Like, it's not a qualifying process, but you're one step below. But yeah, to me, it's just impressive to see the talent level.
Yeah,
how many guys.
There's a couple local
really
guys
good
here that fish the opens, and I don't mean it's negative, but they really don't even have much business of fishing a BFL. But they get plenty of the money; they want something to do, and it does put a little bit more pressure out there, but all good. Oh man, sold another sticker. Got all kinds of stuff going on. I don't even know how that popped up. I guess that was just a regular comment. So. Let's see. Somebody asked a good question. Sycamore, he says, who was it that won a tournament on a square bill after having a dream about where to fish the night before? I'm going to say maybe might be talking about Takahiro at Lake Wiley.
Wiley?
Yeah, that was a Bagley's.
The only one was when Randy Howell turned around and went to that bridge and threw either the DT6 or the Howler. Yeah.
Bass fishing is the only sport, where you can watch a guy win on a certain technique or lure, and he'll turn around at the weigh-in and tell you it's totally different.
Yeah. Which is ironic because that tournament was actually won on a chatterbait in the back of that creek. He caught a 6.5 pounder back there.
Yes.
Or a 6 pounder. That was the winning fish. That decision to do that was, but without that one on the freaking chatterbait, he doesn't win that classic, and it's just a holy cow, Randy almost won. He can now look out his window of his house that he bought from Boyd Duckett's real estate deal and see where he caught the winning fish at the Bassmaster Classic. That's true.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of Guntersville, we're just skipping around everywhere, Matt. I don't have a plan. I'm not like Jeffries.
No, it's all. Oh, we don't have a plan either. I have no idea what
we're talking
about on the show.
I love going by the seat of my pants. One minute we're talking about, you're talking about baits, and Jeffries is talking about bowling or the triangle defense and basketball. It's just all. I really relate to that. So, let's talk about Guntersville today. I usually don't get to do these when a tournament's going on. I thought the weights were kind of. You had you had a 27-pound bag, then you had a 21-pound bag, and then it was pretty much meh. That tells me that lake is really in. The fish are moving a lot, and the guys.
Yeah.
You saw about 25, 30 guys. Boom, had limits first thing in the morning. I feel that's a shad spawn deal, and then after that, it was pretty much a grind.
A lot of guys you expected to catch them didn't catch them. I mean, that 12 to 14 pounds on Guntersville, usually you're way out of it.
Yeah.
And but it's also consistent. It shows how good that fishery really is, even if it's got as much pressure as it does kind of in an in-between time of the year.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just so many quality fish on that.
Was
lake.
Was there anybody today that surprised you, good and bad? Like I'll tell you who I picked. I thought, and I know they have great experience there. They're good offshore fishermen. They're good with a spinning rod. Was Clint Davis? I thought surely Clint would be in the top 50. He's not out of it.
I also feel like Clint could be a little hard-headed sometimes, wanting to catch him the way he catches them, offshore with the big worm or something like that. But yeah, I mean, dude, Caleb Cupall surprised me. The dude's from what, Wisconsin?
Yeah. But
I mean, look at the guys he's freaking not beating, but just demolished today. The guy had almost 28 pounds.
Yeah, dude. I almost picked him just because on fantasy, and I've had a terrible year, so I'm just shooting for the fences. It's like, man, these guys up north are really good grass fishermen, and they know how to pick this stuff apart. And
I mean, the Polnick thing doesn't surprise me. The Steve Kennedy, the Johnsons, the Christie thing doesn't surprise me. I'll tell you what, dude, this guy is super quiet. He's like an old school South Oklahoma farmer. He works at a freaking hardware store. Like, there's no flash to him. It's just like all grit. And that's Luke Palmer.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that dude might be one of the most underrated guys out there. Like, he was even underrated in Oklahoma. Like, no one ever, when they're like, hey, who are the best locals in Oklahoma? No one was ever like, Luke Palmer. But whenever Luke Palmer caught him in Oklahoma, everyone was like, well,
of course he did.
Him in Oklahoma. Yeah, well, it's Luke Palmer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those guys who doesn't, no one's like, oh, Luke Palmer's at the ramp, but no one's ever surprised when he catches him. And he's doing the same thing on the Elite Series since he joined it. I mean, dude, he hasn't been to any of these places. These are all freaking new joints to him.
I know. It's just exciting when someone like that flies on the radar. I'll be honest. I'm not sure you count Lee Livesey out. I mean, dude's a good offshore angler. He's used to fishing some hydrilla and stuff there at Lake Fork. He knows, as Zona says, he's dangerous. And once he tastes blood, like if he's there at day 3 in the top 10, he's not going to have a spinning pole out. He's going to figure out how to catch big ones.
Dude, I'm looking at Luke Palmer's stats. He has literally sucked once in his 3 years on the 2.5 years on the Elite Series. Like, he sucked once.
He's just really consistent.
He's from Oklahoma. What does Oklahoma not have? A lot of current, a lot of rivers, a lot of fluctuating water, nothing tidal, and very little grass. And where does the Elite Series go? All those places. Like, you talk to, like, James Elam and Edwin early in his career, and a lot of those guys from Jared Miller, Chip Porcher, a lot of those guys, man, it, like, just beats them down because they're fishing all this new stuff against guys who know what's up. But, I mean, literally, he finished 95th at the Tennessee River this year in Knoxville. And other than that, his lowest finish, I mean, it's like almost all $10,000,
That's how you make a living.
29, 30, 39, 34th, 47th, 11th, 8th, 33rd, 55th. Like, just solid finishes.
Dude, there's so many people that would kill to be that consistent.
I need to pick him in fantasy. He's like the most underrated fantasy guy ever. He's going to get you 220 points every single time.
He may be a good 20 feet deep, the most consistent angler on the Elite Series you've never heard of.
Yeah. We'll give him a couple more years.
We'll get some ideas before our 2 hours is up for some 20 feet deeps. Let's talk about baits for a second. We're off on a wild tangent. I don't get to talk tournament fishing stuff, so I'm glad you're on here. I'm usually talking baits, but you know me, I'm always in the comments on BTL. I'm usually trying to get somebody to quit talking smack about MLF just so the chat can stay on pace. But that guy has not been commenting lately, so kudos to whoever.
I think Jeffries put him on blast when I was gone or something.
Yeah.
No, he did. Like, I think he went on a rant over some dude who's...
Sometimes you'll see when Jeffries reads a comment that excites him or he'll be, everything's going, he'll look and he'll just kind of make a little move from the computer like, oh, he saw that. Mm-hmm. Don G, great question, Don, great guy. He's always in here in the stream supporting the channel. Don G, see, Matt, what are some baits that pros are using in the open that surprise you? Have you seen anything out of the ordinary, or be like, man, what, are you really throwing that?
I think you'd be, and this is just me personally and some of the guys, I think you'd be
disappointed.
No, surprised at how many checks are cashed on historic power fishing lakes doing finesse tactics.
That doesn't surprise me. Or not me, anyway. I've seen what's been happening out here on the Tennessee River, dude. Spinner rod sales are crazy right now.
Mm-hmm. I think that would surprise a lot of people.
Now,
net drop shot, shaky head, 3-3 pro swimmer, or a Kitech on a little ball head. I mean, there's stuff that on pressured fisheries, you know, that historically you're slinging the big stuff. No, I'm not saying you can't. Go watch Brad Hallman's YouTube video. He's catching them on a 6-inch swim bait and a big giant swim bait head.
Yeah.
And guys are cranking, but like there's a lot of checks that are cashing top finishes that I think are like zzz.
Yep. That Kitech 3-3 deal is the truth though. And I don't throw it much, but I know a lot of co-anglers that fish the BFLs around here. Dude, they're throwing them all year round. So, man, it's just like it's one of the ultimate co-angler baits. You're going to catch a lot of fish. Sometimes you're going to have a day where you're catching up but not heads, and then in the spring though you're going to have a day where you catch 5 that weigh 12, 14 pounds. You were telling me before you had to go get the secret baits. You said my most consistent bait. You're not going to believe what it is. What has been your most consistent bait that you've been catching fish on the opens this year?
So I do this series on the Bass Talk Live YouTube channel, and remind you, I'm like a stats guy. So I went back through, I've averaged all the numbers. I'm like, man, if I can just average a somewhere between 45th and 55th place finish for all 9 of these events, which I'm not in math, but that sounds not that great. Let me open up my calculator here. There's on average 230 guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say finish 45th. 45th. I typed in 40th. 240. You're still finishing in the top 18% of the field. That means you're beating 82% of the guys.
Dude, that's crazy.
So, and then you're like, oh man, I finished like 45th. But yeah, you're beating a lot of guys. So I wanted to fish high percentage baits to come in with a limit, because the easiest way to finish high is to bring in 5 at a time, right? And then it's just the way that it worked out, man. I have gone wacky worm, Ned rig, and drop shot for probably 90% of my fish this year.
Good.
Now, yeah, I've caught a couple on I caught one on a trick stick with a spinner in the tail on Florida. That was my biggest
one. The little humdinger in the end of it.
Yeah,
man, I've heard so many people.
The Keith Poche.
Yeah, I've heard so many people like, man, that's the way to fish a wacky rig. And I've done it once or twice and caught a few, but I'm just like, man, I don't really like rigging them up and all that. Dude, Baitman Jr., he's been whacking them on a wacky rig. Like that's his deal. We go to a pond, it's wacky rig all day.
That's a great way to catch them. So like 8 of my 10 in Florida came on a spinning rod. Then we went to Douglas. 9 of my 10 on Douglas came on a Ned rig. I caught one on a big bite swing head with a fighting frog on the trailer. The other 9 were all Ned rig fish. Then we went to Pickwick.
Right.
and I caught one on a spook. I caught one on a glide bait. I caught one on a jerk bait, and the other 7 came on either a wacky worm or a drop shot. And then we went to the James River in Virginia, and all 10 of the fish I weighed in were on a drop shot. I had 6 rods on the front deck the first day, and I used 2 of them. And the second day I said, why do I have 6? And I only had 2 drop shots on the front deck the entire day.
That's crazy.
And I finished 43rd out of 230 there, 48th, and then 64th out of 220, and then dead nuts in the middle of the field. So I'm beating a large percentage of the field with a fairy wand.
Yeah, it seems like right now, someone just said Paul and Nick's throwing a big bait this week. I know Zaldane is. He always is. You know, I seen Zaldane pull out the spoon. I don't know if he caught anything. If someone watched Bass Live, let me know. But it's a little, to me, I feel like our fish are about a month behind. I was just with some Southeast Pond management there on Lake X. I texted you when we set this thing up. Dude's shocking experience was awesome. But they said throughout the all South, all the ponds, everything's behind. And I've got guys here on Kentucky Lake said they're still seeing fish on beds. It's almost June.
Yeah, dude, that was that polar vortex where the freaking Night King rolled through like Game of Thrones style and just pushed everything back a month.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, those fish, like, it just like reset everything. Like, because we'd had just like a bunch of weird.
Yep. Matter of fact,
weird weather for the last 3 or 4 years where they were spawning in March and then May and then April and stuff, and this just like I think reset everything.
Matter of fact, I was at OHIV when I actually texted you, said, "Dude, this place is insane," and
that's why it was insane because of that cold snap.
Eventually, I'll get those.
It reset all those.
Eventually, I'll get my videos up. You know, they're going to be like 6 months past due, but that's be okay. The locals won't hate me like they hated on Ben Milliken and the other guys for exposing the lake. They'll be like, man, this guy, he didn't catch me, but he sure did net some big fish. So that's kind of how this hat came about. Casey was joking with me, you know, Hell in 6 Cents, and said, man, you know a lot about baits, but you're a hell of a net man. I said, you all make me a hat like that. And he said, that's a good idea. So but I actually got to video the whole electrofishing process there at Lake X. And, man, I'm telling you, you ever get a chance, late fall or, you know, spring, really April is a good time. You can come down and do some filming of some of Pangrac's baits. And there's some good grass growing right now. Could be tossing around a BFE.
Yeah. It's not that far away. Kentucky Lake isn't that far away.
No, you know what's crazy is Kentucky Lake and Grand fish are very similar.
Yeah, I like Kentucky Lake. I mean, when I fished the coast of there in 19,
yeah,
I mean it was balls tough.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah. Did you fish the one that Travis Manson did real well in?
No.
That was about as tough as I'd seen it in the fall. I think 19 was even tougher, but you know.
This was a spring, dude. I caught 5 fish in 2 days and ran 150 miles each day and finished like 30 something with 5 fish in 2 days.
Yeah, you didn't have to run that far. That's what's happened. Well, I always but see, I'm a north end guy. You know, I always fish from like the 68 bridge to the dam.
Okay, so you have to remind me. Kentucky Lake is flipped, right? So the north end is what everyone in a normal lake would be the south end.
Actually.
So you run south, like if you go up, if you take out at the dam and you run towards like Paris and New Johnsonville,
I consider that the south end. Even though the river runs south to north. So Kentucky Dam is the north end. So I fished from the dam to that first bridge.
Okay. So that's where we took out. Yeah. Dude, I couldn't catch one over 13 inches out of there.
Yeah. I guess 3 years ago I fished one day in the spring on a Little John DD, and I got a lot of it on YouTube. Dude, I bet I caught 100 bass between 8 and 12 inches long. They're like leaves. I couldn't get them off. And I caught I caught a limit, but it's I don't even know what we're talking about before. But anyway, the lake's coming back, and I think the best this is a bad thing to say. The best thing that's happened is people badmouth the lake so bad nobody wanted to come here. So all that extra tournament pressure, these other little small clubs and USA Bassins and all that, they moved their classics away from here and stuff. It really hurt the local business as far as the tournament traffic. But I think if you look at the big picture here, the carp or AFCO is doing a lot of stuff with Menendez and other anglers, the shirts to help with the Asian carp. Tremendous efforts, commercial fishing, whatnot. But tournament pressure's down. People are going. Unfortunately, they're all going piling to Chickamauga. All our good Kentucky Lake Ledge fishermen, they go to Pickwick. I'm probably going in a couple weeks. But lakes. Mark Menendez talked about this a little bit too, and you could probably know as some of these lakes on tours, well, they go through, look at Eufaula about 10, 12 years ago. Eufaula wasn't like it is now. I mean, it had a definite down cycle. It got hit by like largemouth bass fires, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's sick. Everything's cyclical.
Yeah.
Grand is going through it right now.
Correct.
Grand had a big freaking dip, and now it's coming up, and like literally we're sitting there like, oh, they're catching a few fish on Grand again. Yeah. And then you look at the Nichols results, and it's taking 15, 16 to get a check now, and tournaments it was taking like 9 or 10 a couple years ago. Just cyclical.
Yeah, it's
hopefully that's what Kentucky Lake's going through. And
I can tell you this, our smallmouth population, there's a guy in the chat here, Darius, this dude's posting smallmouth every week. Not dinks. I mean solid 2.5 to 4 pounders, catching a dozen a week it seems. And I'm gonna get him to take me. I used to love night fishing, but dude, I always heard that was big on Grand Lake, was fishing at night.
Yeah, they have those. They'll have them in the summertime. They do a lot of night fishing on 10 killer. You know where the best place to night fish that I've ever night fished is? Dude, it was like...
Don't tell me Wren Lake, Illinois.
No. So, I don't know. I probably shouldn't tell this story. We'll tell
the story. We want the juice, man.
This story is freaking crazy. So, I got a buddy, his name's Tim, and he's got a house on Lake of the Ozarks, which is party central.
Yeah.
It's like Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, cigarette boats, everything. And so we were down there, and it's 5 hours away, so I kind of go as a getaway. And you can't fish during the day. You literally can't fish out there. You would die. People do die. It's massive boats going fast everywhere, and everyone's on restaurants. It's chaos. And so, we do the thing on the pontoon boat and with this cigarette boat and stuff during the day. But then at night, we dump the boat in, and we go night fishing. Blue fleck power worm on a biffle head or, whatever. But the cool thing is you catch them around, like, docks where people are, like, partying and the nightclubs and all that stuff, and you just catch big old fish. Dude, we were on a freaking big worm night fishing out on Lake of the Ozarks. It was freaking cool. I kind of got hammered out there, though. I wasn't running the boat or anything, and I ripped my buddy's live well lid off and pretended it was the Bassmaster Classic trophy.
Oh.
He was not happy.
Hey, man, we've all done dumb stuff, man. I won't judge you.
It was like the greatest time ever, though. It was like one of the most fun times fishing I'd ever had. We had a bottle of Fireball out there. He wasn't because he was running the boat, but there were 3 of us in the boat, and every time we caught one, we'd take a swing of Fireball. Like I said, we were freaking catching them, and I have not touched Fireball since.
I want to ask you this question. We're bouncing around here. I don't think you've ever told me, how did you go from growing up in Decatur, Illinois, to Boomer Sooner?
Hockey, man. So I played hockey in Decatur. And then I played junior hockey in Cincinnati, and then I got traded to Quad City, Iowa, and I was at a showcase in Michigan, and the OU coaches were there, and I went and looked at OU, and I knew it was a club sport, right? Yeah. So I was between a club sport at a club, play club at a big school, or play D3 at a small school. Like I was good, but I wasn't good, if that makes
Yeah, it
sense.
makes perfect sense.
And I came down to OU and looked at it and had a lot of like academic scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
No, obviously no hockey. And I was like, yeah, this place is freaking cool. So I came down here, and that's how I ended up here. And then like my second year, this dude named Chip. This was back when Facebook was only universities.
Yeah, I remember the OG Facebook. Like instead of crazy, instead of everybody trying to market and sell something, everybody was joining like these crazy groups, like college groups.
Yeah. You would all join your groups. It'd be like Saturday night party group, and then they post, you'd upload the pictures. And but you could also search, like if you're from the University of Oklahoma and you have bass fishing listed as your hobbies, you could just like pull it up. There'd be like 5 people, and you could send them a message.
Yeah.
So Chip Porcher, who works for Dynamic now, I fished the Elite Series in 2013. He was a freshman when I was a sophomore or junior, and he sent me a message. He's like, hey, I'm going to be a freshman at OU. I want to start a fishing program. You want in? It says you like fishing. So that's how I met him. And we started the club. And then Mark Jeffries had the Bass Zone, and he had just gone national with it in 2006. That originally was fishok.com.
Yep, I remember that.
He had a message.
So I was working with Auten, and so he went. It was before like podcasts was a thing. He would just kind of put out like an audio file out there, and people listened. And remember, there was a little turmoil there at Bass because of the PAA started kind of, and Jeffries would put out a few things, and we'd all like huddle around in the morning like, what's on Bass Zone? Or Bass Jeffries is saying this, you know? And I definitely remember those times.
Yeah, so that would have been like 05 or 06. And then Harold Allen retired, and he brought Harold Allen on. And at the same time, he hired me, or didn't hire. He put a deal out in the communications and marketing department at OU that he wanted an intern, because Jeffries is cheap and he doesn't like to pay people. So he was like, hey, I can get a guy who likes to fish, and then he'll like do all my stuff for free. So I came in for a semester, and I like organized photos and stuff. And he had Drew Smith and Pete Robbins writing for him at the time.
Pete's a great guy, by the way.
Pete was writing for us, and Drew. Anyway, something worked out where they didn't have content. I grew up, my mom was an English teacher. She was a writer. And he was like, you want to write an article for the site? Because at the time, he was like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Had to be an article out, had to be at least 1,000 words, pictures, everything. So I did this series called The Sophomore Season, where I interviewed Elite Series guys that were in their second year on tour. My very first 2 articles that I ever wrote on Bass Zone were Sean Goodwin about winning the All-American on a little bitty crankbait. And my first actual article was Bradley Hallman, the sophomore season, talking to him about being in his second year on the Bassmaster Elite Series. So it's kind of weird now that we're like rooming together and hanging out. So that's how I got into the Bass Zone. And then I like worked for free for like the whole summer. And then I was a senior, and he said, hey, if you stick with me, you can go full time with me. And
here you are.
Once you graduate, I just remember, this is a funny story. I remember I walked in, and he's like, so what do you want to make? You know, what do you think your salary should be? And I think I straight up told him, starting out, brand new, out of college, I said, I think $100,000 sounds good.
Oh, hey, there's only one place to go. You know what I mean?
Oh, trust me, it wasn't up.
No, you have done it.
I remember that.
Dude, you've done a really excellent job with the BTL and the 20 feet deep stuff. And I guess that's why I feel, with my background in production and stuff like that, and I always want to be involved in stuff like that. And I've always had ideas of, man, I want to make a documentary. We talked about this before, but the stuff y'all do with 20 feet deep, I know it's not always about the baits. And if I was going to do something, I'd love to, document, the baits. I've had this idea, maybe a mini YouTube series, but I don't have the time. Maybe I should do a couple, and if they take off, maybe that should tell me maybe I should do something else. But, getting these stories is crazy. Robert Hamilton just blow your mind. And I kind of knew backstory. That was the good benefit when I always talk, I've referenced it multiple times. When I worked where I did and worked for a pro angler that was on the tour, not just for a year or two, but Mike Otten, he fished back in the day. He fished the mid '90s and stuff.
Top 150s, invitationals,
yes, mega bucks,
tours,
all that stuff.
350 boats, 50 boats. He's seen it all.
So he'd have all these good stories about these guys, and I remember him telling me one time, I said, "Whatever happened to that Robert Hamilton guy?" Because I'd watch the Bassmaster Yearbooks. I loved to watch Bassmaster Yearbook. 30-minute show, really went into detail about one or two anglers in the tournament. And he said, "Man," and with all due respect to Robert Hamilton, he's like, "Man, the guy is the most talented angler I've ever been around, but he's a crackhead." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yes." And it wasn't long after that, he said, he'd come in my office, was like, Robert Hamilton got arrested. I'm like, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, he's going to prison." I'm like, wow. But it's just kind of like, everyone sees all the glory, and that's fine. There's plenty of things to praise in bass fish, but not a lot of people see that grind or inside the mind, like the 20 feet deep with Steve Kennedy, one of my all-time favorite fishermen. But Steve's an outside the box guy. I don't mean just fishing, but he's an engineer or something like that, and he thinks different than many people.
Oh yeah. I mean, dude, I've talked about this a little bit before. You can't separate yourself from other people by doing the same thing as everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look at all the leaders. I mean, whether it's good or bad, like whether it's like a disorder or a tick or an obsession or something that happened or just your different personality, but that's what makes them great. I mean, that's what makes people, and I'm not just talking about fishing, it's they see things from a different angle, and that separates them. I mean, you got 40 guys on a grass flat all throwing a freaking half-ounce white chatterbait with the same trailer on it. Yeah, you might have a guy get lucky and win there, but it's the guy who's thinking differently who's going to be like, "Oh, man, it's 25 pounds today. You should have seen him on a swim bait."
Yeah.
And they're all going, "Why didn't I think of the damn swim bait?" Well, it just makes sense to him.
Yeah. Yeah. What do y'all have? What kind of future plans do you have? I know Jeffrey's always says, "Man, they're so expensive to do," and I'll be honest with you. A lot of people don't realize it is expensive if you have to start traveling quite a bit. You've got camera gear, obviously. Now y'all's may be paid for, but sometimes you got to go rent camera gear. You gotta, or maybe batteries that go bad. You got to replace them and all that. And the other thing is just getting a hold of people. You know what I mean? Just like for just a live show, it's hard enough to get Matt Pangrac on a Thursday night. I can't imagine trying to locate and find some of the guys y'all do this stuff with.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the thing is the time of editing.
Yes.
Like I did the Steve Kennedy one, and I did the I did a lot of the Ronald Davis, the Rad Lures, the Chatterbait one. Jeffries did primarily the Hamilton and the Ike one, but like.
By the way, I just got an original Rad Lures Chatterbait last week. I
really?
found one here locally at a flea market.
Like the original, like in the Ziploc,
in the
or the
Ziploc
one
with that. About the color of your wall behind you and the red lettering, Rad Lures.
with the flashing on the blade.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yep.
How much was that?
$6.
No way. Oh, that's freaking awesome. Did you know it was there, or were you going there just to look for something?
It was in. So I don't know how much you remember about Kentucky Lake, but you can drive across the Barkley Bridge, and you can take 641. It goes across Barkley to Catawba, where there's a tackle store called the Cabin. Well, there's a giant flea market on the left, and I always go.
Yeah. Is it like? Do they have it every single week, and it's like a massive building?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I know exactly.
So I go in that flea market. I'm hunting some balsa plugs. It's hit or miss, and I'm walking in there, and there's this big plastic bin of junk, and I'm digging in there, and all of a sudden it just says Rad Lures, and I look at it and went, "Oh, this person don't know what they got." you know. And I bought that, and I bought some other crankbaits, and I freaking left that stuff over at my dad's house. So that was the whole point. I always go to my parents' house who live over there and stop at that flea market on the weekend. And so it's hanging in his garage. But, dude, I remember when I first heard about that. So I'm getting gas in the morning. Terry Bolton's there getting gas. And
the chatterbait.
We're talking. And I said, hey, Terry, why don't you take me fishing? You never take me fishing before. I was like 19 or something like that. Maybe a little bit older than that. And he goes, well, you just meet me at the boat ramp. Let's go. So we go. Well, they're doing a ultimate match fishing. It was the first season. And, ooh, I got a relic here. I'm getting off topic.
Was that the KJ Spoon season?
It was this one right here. Check this out. An original poster from the Outdoor Channel. G-Man's autograph. Mike Iaconelli. And it's got all the participants in Ultimate Match Fishing. This was the first season. Joe Thomas gave me this. And
that's very cool.
I found that the other day. But anyway, so we go out there. Gerald's winding his rod tips just, and Bolton's like, what you got there, G? And he's like, man, I'm going to show y'all something, but you can't say nothing to nobody. I'm like, all right. He's like, this right here is called a chatterbait. He said, this is that thing that Thrift's winning all them tournaments over in South Carolina. He said, your rod tip will vibrate like you got 2 wheel bearings out in your truck. And I'm like, all right. So I'll look at it, and I'm like, I don't know about that. So me and Terry fish, and he's throwing a frog, and he's showing me the frog because that was hot. He basically had got a tutorial from Rojas, and next thing I know, man, that chatterbait just blew up. And you talk about a true bait. Let's talk about this, Matt. What are some baits that's really changed the game? That chatterbait, bladed jig, dude, that changed fishing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I would venture to say more so than the Alabama rig, which is interesting because obviously you would think the Alabama rig would be number one because after Elias in 2011 on Guntersville, but that chatterbait is a year-round deal.
Correct.
And
changed the way people fish grass too.
And it changed the way people fish docks, and it changed the way people fish riprap, and it changed the way people fished.
Yeah.
Period.
And then it brought me the jackhammer, which is my favorite.
And I still think, in my opinion, and I'm guilty of this too, I think there's a lot of unexploited applications for that bait.
Well,
especially with the 3/4
yes.
and the 1 ounce, and you take the skirt off, and there's a lot of applications for that bait that is not. I'm sure the guys are doing it, but I would not surprise me,
I actually seen a tournament on Kentucky Lake get one. Actually, it popped up on my Facebook memories where me and my partner finished 4th because we had a terrible second day. We should have blew them out. I'll never say fish in a 2-day team tournament again because of that. But anyway, we watched these guys catch a 27-pound bag and come from like 14th to win. And, that was in the prime on Kentucky Lake. That could happen, but they're catching them on that 1.5 ounce Picasso shock blade with a big, like top shelf swim bait behind it. And it was like they were literally 75 yards from us. We just fished this school, and I caught 1 3-pounder. And dude, when they pulled up, I was like, God dang, what is that? And that shock blade still had the skirt on it too. So it was a skirt. It's just a big, it looked like a musky bait. I'm like, what in the world? And all of a sudden they're net and hooting and hollering. I'm like, so my partner's like, we'll catch them. I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure that's like 25 pounds. We're 75, 80 yards, and they look big. Like, you know what I mean? If someone's catching them around you, you can usually tell, the way their movement is. When you catch one over 5, even if you're that far away.
They were doing a lot of crouching and a lot of, crab walking around the boat.
Yeah, as soon as I started seeing them dump 3-pounders off the side, I was like, man, that ain't good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I always gauge it in the opens. If the guy starts doing the crouch and then the crab walk, he's got a good one on.
Oh yeah. Here's a good.
The Whopper Plopper definitely. I actually fished the tournament that Whopper Plopper blew up, and that would have been the Bassmaster Open in the fall of 2015 on Table Rock Lake.
That's it.
Rick Clun was throwing it, and then Watson was throwing it, and by the end, Josh Bertrand was throwing it. I think Wheeler was throwing. Like, I don't know how whoever gets the memo, but once they get the memo, it's like everybody freaking gets it. I'd never heard of the dang thing.
Here's a great question. We got a $5 donation from Dustin Taylor. He's from your neck of the woods. Here's his question.
Yep.
Matt, I'm from Galesburg, Illinois, and thought I knew most bass heads around here. Who is the person responsible for Best on Tour? It says Bettendorf, Iowa.
I think I can say this. That would be Mike Valster. He's been around the industry for a long time, owns a rep group, and kind of had a concept for this. He's a pretty analytical guy, and just kind of...
It's a great newsletter. I've been getting it forever, and I think a guy that's maybe tied in with that rep group, shout out to Matt Ledbetter, if you know who Matt is. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, and Dave Rush has a part in it that has been in the industry and I've known for forever. Actually came in working for the Bass Zone, so...
Rush is a great guy. Me and him kind of do Kelly Jordan's social media. I wish he'd start posting some bass, sending us some bass pictures, but Dave's kind of took that over. He's a great guy, by the way. I really like Dave.
Yeah. So Best on Tour is analytical. It's a newsletter. It comes into your email. You just like subscribe to it, and it's an email newsletter basically, and it's got 10 different things in the industry. But it kind of takes like an analytical, a statistical approach. It's got some info on some guys that maybe you hadn't heard of in a while, a tackle store and stuff. So bestontour.net. Sign up for it. It's free. They don't send you a bunch of crap or anything. They're actually my title sponsor this year. That's the shirt that I've got on.
It's a good looking shirt. I mean, you got a bass jumping on the front of it.
Yeah, I know. Jeffries is like anti-jumping.
I know. I heard that. That's that's why I said that. I heard that on BTL. I believe it was this morning. My son's like.
But I like this. It's got like the deal. So seriously, if you have anything, check it out. It's bestontour.net, and it's I contribute a lot of stuff to it. A lot of different guys do too. But there's typically something in there every single week that I just go, huh, that's cool. You know what I mean? One of those deals.
Got another donation. Thank you, Sean Lai. Ice cream money for the kids. Hey, man, I bought them Dairy Queen this afternoon, so I appreciate it. Dairy Queen's expensive when you got 2 kids. And thanks for bringing Pangrac back on. Yeah, man, we got about 40 minutes, so we can open it up. We'll open it up to questions or whatnot.
Sean's going to get sick of me. I think he was on BTL earlier today.
Dude, Sean is a freaking bass head, dude. Like, some random guy in North Dakota could be streaming, and there'd be 10 viewers, and one of them would be Sean. He's always soaking up the information.
The streaming stuff is awesome.
Yeah, man.
The best streamers are the random streamers that are doing it for the love of talking fishing, and Travis Manson after midnight. Those are the two that you can't.
I'm waiting for a Travis Manson UFO deal, because all this stuff keeps leaking out about UFOs. And I'm like, one day Travis.
I know. I still have freaking like 11 cans of pork and beans in there because I had a freaking ill-timed conversation with Travis Manson about QAnon and stuff, and he freaked me the heck out. And I literally went out and like, I was like, "You think?" And he's like, "Yeah, man. Like my sources." And then I started thinking it. I was like, "Damn, Travis."
Yeah, man. It sometimes it reminds me of like, I follow college football recruiting, or I used to when Tennessee was actually good, and like it was always that guy. I got a source that says this recruit's here. My source says this coach is gone. And that's how we are as a society right now in that stuff. But anyway, Sean's a bass head. We've got so many guys, and that's kind of why I stream. I don't really make a whole lot of money. I make a little donation. YouTube keeps whatever, sell a few t-shirts and whatnot. But dude, I can talk bass, and I'm in BTL. I don't say that much anymore. But Jeffrey's never got on to me. I've never said nothing bad, but if anything, I try to keep it PC in there. But dude, I like the streaming deal. I know Upshaw does Warzone, Call of Duty or whatnot.
Yeah.
Dude, a year ago, Baitman Jr. would have smoked him. I'm not gonna lie, dude.
Really?
He was playing and just freaking. I'm like, dude, you're 7. You're this good. How'd you get this good? Because I thought I was decent, but every, you know, the more information to me that's out there, the better. You know, it's weird that
Yeah.
sometimes I can talk baits and we'll have 250, 300 people in here. Other nights I can have guests and 150 to 200 like tonight. But, you know, I think people also like waking up after a stream and watching and, man, what did I miss and whatnot. Because YouTube's weird right now. You're an analytics guy. I sit back and I watch this stuff, and I've seen several people that usually get a lot more views, a lot more live viewers, watch time, and all of a sudden they're not getting this stuff. And I'm like, is YouTube fishing dying? Is it YouTube itself? I don't know. But then I'm getting more interaction on Instagram and Facebook than I've ever got before. So I don't, and they're referencing stuff I've talked about in YouTube. So I don't know what's going on. Somebody said it's lagging. I wouldn't doubt it. Baitman Jr.'s probably now he's playing Minecraft. So
No, I've never been a video game guy. Never. Like I've never played hardly a video game. I played NHL 2007 when I had roommates in college, and Greg and Owen were 162 and 0 against me. Like they kept a track of it. Like I never won a game.
I watch enough.
That's the only video game
I watch
ever
enough
played.
NHL that I'm a San Jose Sharks fan, and they're the tennis.
Why are you a Sharks fan?
They're the only team that was a fish, man. You had the whale. You
Oh,
had
I
the
got you.
whalers,
I got
but I'm not gonna root for a whale.
Yep. Hard.
So I like,
Yeah. They're not a fish technically, are they?
no, they're a mammal. But
Yeah.
Sharks had a cool logo, and then I remember watching them on TV the first time. They had this dude who had 2 teeth, long hair, and it was Mike Ricci, if you remember him.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
He had the biggest nose in the game.
and that dude was going crazy. Man, someone says I'm freezing. Oh, well.
Baitman Jr.'s up there buying coins.
Yeah, probably. Let me text the wife.
Michael, yes, we are going to the Classic. We'll be there. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we'll most likely be. I'll be in the Denali booth, and most likely the AFCO booth with Mark Jeffries. I'll also be in the Big Bite booth, and then I will be spending a lot of time in the Bass Tank booth.
I'm going to have to pay. I don't know what I'm going to do with my internet company. I went from paying them $20 or $50 a month to $79, and now I'm still lagging. But that means you might get out of here early, Matt. And everyone says the audio is decent, so if y'all want me to... my wife says Neely's watching on her phone. So you are going to the class. I mean, I may just take this too and download. I hadn't used my little podcast, whatever thing they call it. I can download it too. Real quick, while people are still here listening, is the BTL apparel, is it still available?
No, it's done. It's gone for that. So here's the thing. I neglected the children and had several emails about people who are like, dude, my kid like listens to you every day on the way to school and was crushed that you had no children's stuff. So I'm going to have a kid's shirt. It is summer, so we're going to do a buff, a neck gator deal, a like an AFCO samurai style shirt, like a true sun shirt with the hood on it. We got several of these patches left. So we're going to just put it on a different color hat, since this hat's actually sold out from Richardson still because of COVID. So we're going to put it on a different color that doesn't clash with it. And then we've got 2 limited run shirts. One is a Mark Jeffrey shirt that says my favorite color is 7. If you listen to BTL, you know what that means. And then the other is a Frank Scalish Day 4 shirt. we're gonna open it up for like 3 or 4 days during the classic. It's gonna be a classic only deal for that. There are a lot of guys who are seeing the BTL apparel and stuff. But I mean, dude, like I know how it is. Like when I'm on the road and I'm fishing and stuff, like I don't keep up to date with a lot of the shows because I'm daylight to dark, and and then they get caught up and realize that there was apparel. So we're gonna open it up for the guys that missed it, for the kids, and some summer stuff for 3 or 4 days during the classic.
I'll have to get Baitman Junior outfit. I'll have an excuse for that. I'll say it's school apparel.
There you go.
We got a couple good questions here. Here's a good one from YouTube Cause. So I'll shout you out. Some people said we're froze. Some people said we're good. I don't know. Don't care. Audio's okay. I know I'm not going to get 30,000 downloads like BTL, but let's see. Matt, somewhere you haven't fished that you would really like to fish?
Havasu.
Oh, yeah, me too. I was just thinking that.
I've been to Havasu. I've covered tournaments on Havasu. I have not fished Havasu. I would love to fish Havasu. I really would like that.
I'd like to go there the time of year when, if the fishing sucks, I know the scenery is really good.
Yep. Oh, we're golden now.
Yeah.
I also want to fish that Coeur d'Alene in Idaho.
Oh my gosh. So a friend of mine, Michael McLaurin, he's an owner rep. He just got back from there and they freaking crushed giant smallmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Tactical Bassin boys have been kind of going out there and keeping that on the down low. And then the words kind of got out. And we'll see. As long as there's no big tournaments over there,
Yep.
Look, man, when Ben Milliken, the 6 Cents crew, I netted a 14.5-pound fish. That was the highlight of my trip. Once the word got out, all those shout lunkers, you would have thought, man, OHIV's done. Dude, they still kept pumping out 10-plus pounders for weeks. I mean, Texas was unreal.
Yep.
So, dude, if a place has that a good a population of big fish, it can sustain quite a bit too. And again, out in the middle of nowhere, it's Idaho.
Yep.
I'm not just gonna.
You gotta want to go.
You got it. Yeah. It's not just a kind of. I might go.
I honestly think that location is the biggest protection for a lot of these lakes. I mean, Falcon. I mean, let's just say there's 2 reasons to be in Zapata, Texas. One of them's fishing.
Yeah.
The other could get you like 20 to 40.
Yeah. Or beheaded.
Yeah, or beheaded. I mean, there's, the Lake X we got in Oklahoma. It's in the freaking middle of nowhere. All these, location protects a lot of fishers.
Yeah, the Lake X I got here, my buddies, it's kind of out in the middle. I wouldn't say it's in the middle of nowhere, but unless you would never expect it to be where it's at. You can almost see it, actually, from the Tennessee River, but you just think it's a hilltop. You don't know it's a dam and 100 acres of pristine bass fishing over there. If people knew, they'd probably figure out a way to dredge a canal in there, because the Tennessee River sucks so bad fishing. But that's like OHIVs. It's the same kind of deal. You're like driving in the middle of East Central Texas, and there is nothing here. It's starting to look like Amarillo, and all of a sudden it says, OHIV this way, 7 miles, and boom. Like, whoa. It's all fed by the Colorado River and everything. So Let's see here. Let's get it. Pangrac on BTL, you talked about a hat color, purple with green lettering. We need more purple hats. A purple with green lettering hat would be amazing. I've been trying to get 6 Cents to get a Jank Juice shirt, a chartreuse shirt with some purple on it. It's funny you mentioned about the Richardson hat. They used a lot of that, and now they've swapped to like Yupon, which is what I'm wearing now. It's a good hat, but this COVID thing, man, it's
hard to get the hats.
Dude, where I work, I build windows for a living. Our materials, it's a bad deal. So if you need new windows, Matt, I'm sorry, it's gonna be a while.
I'm good.
Yeah, let's see. We gotta get you some duct tape to fix your AC.
It won't turn on.
Let's see if I got any more questions in here.
Oahe, he said, I want to go back to Oahe in South Dakota. Dude, so I covered that tournament out there, and I rode with guys every day. That is literally like the surface of the moon.
Really? Like, it's just there.
yeah, there is no one out there. Like, you might see a guy trolling a Lindy rig in a Lund, but it's like no trees, nothing, just like rolling hill landscapes in this lake. And if you want to go across to the other side, you're like, I'm just going to easy credit. It's like freaking 20 miles. It's insane. It's like fishing on the moon.
All right. What, since you've been covering these tournaments, what is the most insane on the water thing you've had happen, with the angler? I don't, let's keep it PG. I don't need to know about people cursing each other or anything like that. But, like, has there been one moment you were like, wow, did that just happen?
Yeah. It was on Kentucky Lake. It was just south. I'm trying to make sure I get this right. It was just south of the Paris Bridge.
So about around the power lines, kind of?
No, like just south of it.
Big sandy area?
Yeah, it's like a hump out there or something. Anyway, this is just funny because, the two guys that started MLF are Boyd Duckett and Gary Klein. Well, this was way before. This would have been 2007, 2008. Gary was on one side of the hump. Boyd was on the other. Boyd didn't want Gary there. Gary didn't want Boyd there. They were just chucking 1-ounce football heads at each other.
Oh, my gosh.
And dragging them back like opposite. It was freaking great.
The sad part is that if there was fish there at that time, they
were both catching them. They were both hosing them. And they were, I just remember it was awesome because they were both like defensively casting at each other's boats, like just humming them too.
Yeah, dude. I think
the other craziest thing I've ever seen, what's that?
I was going to say, for me, was the Haynes Lambert ordeal. There's a lot of backstory to that too that the public will never know. But I don't know what it is about Kentucky Lake, though. It brings out the crazy in people.
Because my other thing that was crazy, where I was like, oh my God, these guys are so good, was on Kentucky Lake too. And I was filming a deal with Timmy Horton. And he idled over and he said, there they are. Those are big ones, but I think they're catfish, but I'll check anyway. And he spins his boat around, doesn't drop a buoy, nothing, picks up a big plug, cranks it down, and goes, yep, they're catfish. I just went over one's back. Reels in, and he's got 1.5 foot of slime on his line.
Yes. Telltale sign.
And it's like, dude, you literally, this was way before, like live scope, Panoptics, none of that stuff existed. It was like, ooh, side imaging is clear now. Like, it's that long ago. And he literally was able to go over, determine they were catfish, just make sure they weren't big bass, know where he was looking on his side imaging out, spin the boat around, stop, make a cast, feel it go over the fish. I'm telling the story again just so it sinks in. Go, yes, that's a catfish. There it was. Reel in and has slime on his line where his line went over the catfish. Like, how do you compete with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good enough on a graph that I can usually say that's bass, but I can't go that's catfish. Every now and then you might get a really good draw.
And then can you hit one?
No. If I do, it's by accident. Now, we've had some pretty epic schools of Asian carp where I can be like, yeah, that's carp, because you'll be reeling a plug and it just go
hum an XR75 or a Ruku shad around any back pocket. You'll jack.
Here's a good little question here. What was the first fish you ever caught? What'd you catch? You go, man, I like this.
The first fish that I ever caught was a gutted trout out of my basement.
Okay.
That's the truth. So our basement when I was a kid would flood. Like when I was 2. Like we had an unfinished basement, right? And it would flood, and I would get like rope and sit up in the kitchen, like where the steps went down in the basement, and put it down there and see if I could catch a fish. So my dad like went to the bandsaw and he cut out all these shapes of fish on the bandsaw, and then I would like put the rope down like as a little kid and sit there, and he would like come in. We had another entrance to basement, and he would sneak down there, and he had a big loop knot on it, and he would tie the wooden fish and then pull on the rope. So I would sit up there, and it would go, oop, and I'd pull it, and I'd reel in the wooden fish. Well, one time he got gutted trout from the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
So he tied it to it, and I like pulled it in, and it was like a real fish, and I freaked out, and then we broiled them and ate them that night. Like, that was what we did that night, and that's the first fish that I ever caught.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was actually a pretty good question. I like that story. Here you go. Pangrac, what is your favorite square bill?
My favorite square bill? So I have two. And one of them's kind of new, and I discovered it 2 years ago, and I sent a text message to John Cruz, and all he said was the quiet emoji, and then he said, "Welcome to the club."
Is that OSP?
And it's that fat Little John square bill.
That's a really good one.
Have you ever thrown it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got one.
Yeah, it's like wider across the back, and it freaking dumps.
Yes.
And I got one at a media event, and I had like one color of it, and I've gotten a lot more since then. Like, it's a very underrated. It's quiet, right? And it's got that tungsten chamber in it. It dives right. It dumps right. I feel like that's like, if I had to have two square bills, I'm having an original Lucky Craft RC 1.5, and I'm having that one, the Fat John, like the Little John. I gotta figure out let me see if I can Google exactly what its name is, because it's like, you are the bait man. We gotta get the bait right.
I want to say it's like a Little John 60.
60, Fat John 60.
Yeah. They're actually kind of hard to find. Most people are going to carry the MD.
The Spro, though, it's the Spro Fat John 60.
Yeah. Most people.
That's 100%.
Well, if I've got my Spro box handy, I would show you guys. It's a bunch of there's a bunch of RC wakes. That's a good bait. I don't know.
I mean, technically, it might have a little bit of a rounded bill on it, but it's a square bill.
Yo, I got you. That's a really good bait. Matter of fact, when these fish in the spring get dirt shallow here on rock, dirt shallow on rock, that's a really hard bait to beat.
But people don't freaking talk about that bait, do they?
No. So here's what everyone wants. They want the Little John MD, or they want the 50 that's got the micarta bill. That's the skinnier. That's like the baby pig. That the fat one, they shy away from it here. But man, it's a really, really good bait.
Or the 1.5 in the original, the RC, the Lucky Craft, the one that was $15.99 at Bass Pro.
Yep. Man, they're worth their weight in gold. You know the story on that. Mike Otten designed that crankbait. But that's another episode. I've gone over that multiple times.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, I actually got a text from him the other day, and he said, next time I'm coming by, I'm bringing you some. I found my prototypes. So when I was in his office and all this was going down, I'm not calling, with all due respect to Rick Klein, I'm sure he had some sort of involvement, but Manuro and Lucky Craft was sending prototype blanks to Mike and said, Mike, test these out. How do these run? So I had some that were absolutely junk, but Mike kept saying, do this, do that. Mike was a really good crankbait fisherman. And long story short, we went out. We had a local guy just paint some up, nothing special, chartreuse, blackback. And went on to Barkley and freaking smashed them. And I'm like, dude, now this is the deal. They casted good, they ran good. And he had a couple in a pile. These didn't run right, but these were. So sends them back to Lucky Craft, exchange emails and all this. Did not hear nothing for like 3 months. Next thing you know, me and Mike are in a Bass Pro shop. Guess what we see? RC 1.5. And after that, I'm not going to disclose the conversations that were had. And then Classic Patterns went away. And the next time it come back, it was with Pradco. So That should tell
Okay.
you all you need to know. But nothing against Rick. Obviously a legend, and you know what? When companies approach you and want to use your name, if I was ever that popular, and he may have never known any of that stuff, but
Have you got your hands on his new giant square bill, his new big one? Remember, he's got that one that came out, and I heard a bunch about it. He caught fish on
yeah,
it, but then
I tell you what I've got. I've got a Craig Powers. It's called the Big Humble. It's freaking giant. I don't even know where I put it. It's probably in my 2.5 box.
But didn't Rick have a Japanese company that made one for him?
Yes, it's like a Iwakawa or Ishikawa or something like that. It's a really weird name. I tell you what it looks like. It looks like a big flat-sided Z-Boss.
Yeah.
And some of the colors are very Z-Bossy. It kind of got that same kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
But evidently, that's a good bait. I've heard some guys say some good things. But that Craig Powers bait's balsa. It's huge, dude. It's like, that's my iPhone. And it's a big one. It's just the size of the iPhone. And I've thrown it.
It's a gizzard shad imitator.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you don't throw the crawfish color to imitate a crawfish. You're just trying to get some flash off of it.
Yeah.
But let's see. I'm going through some questions here. I just bought some Fat John 60 chartreuse, root beer, and chrome olive. Dude, root beer is a great color. They've also got that new Little John DD Micro. Have you got your hands on that guy yet?
Yeah, I've gotten to look at those. So I fish Smith Lake in the fall and Norman Lake in the fall. Spotted bass, Island Reservoirs, that Alabama deal.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you start getting September, and I see someone on there also mentioned that 0.7, that 0.5, the Academy H2 Express, the little 0.5, the freaking Lucky Craft 0.5. There's a Jackal has one, I think, called like a roller or something like that.
They made a tiny Aska too. I've got it.
Yeah, and then but the problem is it's hard to get them to dive deep, and they're all round square bill. Well, Spro came out with that Little John DD, and it's like the size of a 0.7.
Yeah, I need to get some.
And it digs like 8 to 8 foot.
I think you were talking about this bait earlier. So I got one right here. Dude, you're talking about freaking fish catcher. The Skeet.
Go down a little for me.
Skeet Mini DR.
Yep. And Swindle had one too.
Especially if you can get them in this color, this Japan crawl.
Does that have that little baby claws on the bill?
And it's kind of...
Yeah, I like that. I always like that.
Got that ghost color ball. But these are hard to find, man.
Oh, yeah.
But they're kind of common-ish. I'll tell you what's a good bait. Let's see if I can find one. I've got some of these that are minis. This is a wild peanut from Daiwa. It's kind of like a wiggle wart. Oh, wow. I think I sent you pictures of it, but I got some.
Yep.
I got some now that are minis, like they're half this size.
Oh, wow.
Those little mini deep diving crankbaits are stout.
I don't know how they find them. I really don't know how they find them. You can throw it in the muddiest, nastiest water in the fall, and 55-degree water, 60-degree water, and they will freaking find a crankbait that's an inch long.
All right. Someone said, Matt, have you thrown the 70 size popper? I guess he's talking about the Spro Essentials popper.
Either that or a P70.
Yeah.
I've thrown the Essential Series popper. It's a good popper. The thing I like about it is it's got a little bit of length to it, so you can actually walk it. It's as easy to walk that as it is to walk the Ones Bug.
The Ones Bug.
From that's the popper, Marizo's company.
Evergreen.
Evergreen.
Yeah, obese.
The Evergreen Ones Bug. Have you ever thrown that Ones Bug?
Yes, it's a bad dude.
Dude, it's little, and you can go bloop, bloop, and then you go doop, doop, and it goes doop, 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 doop. That's how that Spro one is, except it's a little bit bigger. It almost reminds me of like a Super Spook Junior mixed with the Popper P70, because you can go bloop bloop, but then if you just want to walk it, you can go doop 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 doop, and they got really good colors in that too.
I might put that link in the description. I'll put some links to some of Matt's favorite baits here. I'll link the BFE, the best flipper ever, the Micro DD. I'll link the Spro Essential, Tackle Warehouse affiliate guys. So when you make a Tackle Warehouse order, make sure you use my link. Let's see. Here's a good question. What's your favorite frog?
Dude, I don't hardly ever throw frogs. That's the truth. I roomed with Rojas for 10 years on the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Really?
Like, did his social media, did gander on tour with him, rode for a day of practice every single time, and I can count on. I don't think I've ever weighed in a fish on a frog in a tournament.
No kidding.
I think I caught him in Wednesday nighters.
Yeah,
I caught a couple.
I'll be honest. I don't
Wednesday
think I've
night
ever weighed one in a decent team tournament.
like a hollow body frog. I mean, I've caught him on a ribbit or a paddle frog, but like a true hollow body, I just don't throw them.
I'm getting this question now, and I was going to ask you. Someone asked about the new Fat Papa Walker. Kind of got some old school Black Dog Bait Company vibes to it. God dang, what we call it? I got 4 of them hanging right by. Lunker, almost looks like a injected lunker punker, but it's still a little bit more different. I wouldn't want to call it a clone, but have you had a chance to throw that one a little bit?
Have not. Spro's coming out with a bunch of really cool new stuff there. They kind of got free reign to kind of explore some stuff that they've wanted to do for a long time. So you're going to see a lot of really kind of cool, unique stuff coming down the pipeline from Spro.
Yeah, Spro's
Bradley
a great
Holman
company, man.
Because
when you buy a Spro bait, you're getting really good hooks on a bait. Like, there's no need to change.
they all come with Gamakatsu. So Spro and Gamakatsu, they're like sister companies. But you can go to Bradley Holman's YouTube after you're done with Baxter's live stream here, and he actually just posted a tour of the Spro factory that we went on. We spent like 4 or 5 hours there. It's the cleanest. Like, it looks like it's like a food factory.
Like
in
you
there.
can eat off
like
the
it's
floor.
so freaking clean. Yo, no, you 100% can eat off the floor in there. It's
But
insane.
we got about 10 minutes left, and it's movie night, so we're gonna go flash. We're gonna go free fire, quick fire on the questions. Somebody says, "What's Matt's favorite color BFE in Oklahoma?"
Either if it's muddy or anything, that BTL color. Legitimately, I love the heck out of that color. It looks like it I think it's just got the right contrast in it for muddy water. And then I like if it's a little bit cleaner water, I like a tilapia magic. Just a dab of chartreuse on that tail.
Let's see. How this isn't a Spro question, but I'm sure you may have thrown this bait or not. How do you feel about the BX Brat from Apparel? This guy really likes them.
I have not thrown them, but it's on the to throw list. I mean, that's a perfect example of a company that sponsors professional anglers, and those professional anglers that they compensate for it, put their bait in the limelight when the money's on the line, and with what Gerald and Brandon have done with it, it's on the radar.
Yeah, I've thrown it. It's a good bait. It's worth going out and making you a few casts with.
100%.
Let's see here. We got other conversations going on too. So, ever try the American Baitworks Freedom Mischief Minnow with the spoon hanging under? It's got interesting. I have not.
That sounds like a good blueback herring bait, though.
Yeah, it's got some cool action, dude. I'm behind this year. I've made one tackle warehouse order in 2021, and I've got the money saved up, man. I've been working all the time. You know how it is. Let's see. I do want to get Hallman on here. You think he could pull some strings? You think we can get Hallman and talk some baits?
Yeah, pull some strings. He just drove 20 hours home. He just got home today at like 3, so you might have to give him a day or two.
See, here's the deal. I do not like bothering guys during fishing season. Which, like, Jeffries has got such good connections and everything, but I'm a different kind of deal. You know, BTL is more tournament oriented, stuff like that, and I never want to step on anybody's toes. And I really appreciate you. You told me back in the spring, hey man, I'll love to come back on, but let's wait on a tournament. And I'm like, dude, I'm cool with that. I want you to go win some money or something. Don't worry about.
I wish I won some money. What's my favorite 6 cents bait? So you guys, but 6 cents makes a wake bait. I don't know the
Movement
name
80
of it.
wake.
It's got a big round bill. It's got a kind of a banana shape to it, and it's a little bit bigger than your average wake bait. If you really bird some of them, they want to pop out, but you can keep it from blowing out if you put a number 2 feather treble on the back.
There we go. There's a good hot tip.
It actually creates a little bit of a drag and keeps that bait up, and then you throw it on straight braid, and during the shad spawn you get parallel to the riprap where you're like, it might be scratching the boat or breaking the trolling motor prop, and you fire that sucker as far as you can and just do and about that much of water off the riprap, and you can get freaking chewed on it.
Yeah, I think I got one somewhere. I know I've got plenty of them. That's a really good bait, very underrated bait. Let's see. Sometimes this chat goes too fast for me, and I don't want to hold you up too long.
No, it's all good, man.
Matter of fact, we've been on almost 2 hours. I don't usually stream on Thursday nights, guys. I'm dead tired. Like I've been up for 24 hours. If I wasn't so excited about Matt joining, I might have bailed. But we're gonna wrap it up. Matt, I'd like to catch back up with you again. Let's do something this fall.
Let me know, dude. I'll hop on whenever.
And maybe when Bradley Hallman gets unbusy, but that's hard to say about a fisherman with a schedule like him. We'll get him on here to do some bait tricks and stuff. Hallman's a great dude, and when a guy like Mark Menendez says you need to get Bradley Hallman on, he's an awesome individual. That speaks really volumes. And by the way, he's also said the same things about you yourself.
Yeah, Hallman's a little sneakier than he wants to play the shucks, I'm an Oklahoma power fisherman card, but he's sneaky, man. He's got it. Like he's got everything, and he knows how to use everything. And there's a reason why he uses everything, because he's been doing it for, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. He's one of those. I don't know what it is in that water in Oklahoma, but man, all y'all guys from Oklahoma. There's each guy, Zach Burge, Jason Christie, Hallman, yourself, Upshaw. There's something y'all got that a lot of people don't have. You got a core group of guys in Alabama, and one time I said, Western Kentucky had a good breed of anglers. You had Bolton, and Moorhead, and back in the day, Sean Penn and the Schraders.
Carolinas right now, I would say, have the best. I mean, South Carolina, North Carolina, right there. There's something in the water out there, too.
Yeah, and then you got Wheeler from who knows where in Indiana. Most guys here, all they do is complain about Indiana fishermen. Oh, son of bitches can't back up the boat. That guy's from Indiana. And I'm like, yeah. I wouldn't say that to Jacob Wheeler, but
it always cracks me up. Like the best guys that we've had in the sport now, you're talking like Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, like non-traditional.
Yeah, New Jersey.
Bass.
The only thing I know about New Jersey is I don't really want to go there. But
it ain't bad. I almost went after this last tournament, but I need to come back and do some BTLs since I failed to cash a check.
I think you just sell merch. I got an idea for you too. I'm gonna let you know off stream. One of those secret deals. So, but guys, I'm gonna end the stream. Do me a favor, and thank you for bearing with me through any technical difficulties. Me and Matt were fine all night. So, but yes, Ryan Thiel, it was the Movement 80X Wake. That's the bait he's talking about. And if you're going to buy some from 6 Cents Fishing, use my code Baitman. You'll get 10% off. You got any cool discounts or anything you need to plug, Pangrac? Go for it.
No, just sign up, bestontour.net. Oh, I do have one that's pretty
okay.
Cool. So I got a message from John Sajak, and he's up in Buffalo or up in New York, and he's like, hey, man, I don't know how to get people to know about this thing. And it was this like a couple years ago. He sent me a copy, and I mentioned it on the show, and it sold some. So he's like, "Do you think you could do me a freaking solid? I'm trying to get rid of the rest of these copies on Amazon, and it's the Baby Bass ABCs." Ooh. And it's like a softback book. The guy fishes. I think he does like the Bass Nation. He's like kind of a dude my age. He's got a couple kids. He was tired of reading crappy books to him. So it's like T is for Texas rig.
Oh, dude, that is awesome.
P is for popper. Like K is for keeper with like it's on the freaking bump board. It's like a baby tournament.
Dude, I know some.
Like it's legit.
I know some YouTubers that could use that book.
There it is. F is for frog. And he did all the illustrations and everything too. So if you guys have younger kids or you're looking for a gift or anything, do John a solid. The easiest way to find it is just to go on Amazon. So he like published it all himself and everything, like using, I guess they have like a self-publisher thing. And he used that. And he self-published it and stuff, so just type in or just search Baby Bass ABCs. That's what the cover looks like, and get yourself one of those.
I'll find it on Amazon tonight or tomorrow, guys, and I'll link it in the description about that.
But I thought it was cool. I mean, I have no children, but he did it in 2017.
Well, I got two you can borrow for a weekend if you just want to test the waters.
I'm good. I can send you a book, and you could just read it to them. They could be, but they're how old are they though? They're a little too old.
8 and 3. But it'd be great for.
Well, no, the 3-year-old right there. Send me your address. I'll shoot you one of these. He sent me. I got 5 copies.
I'll pay you for them.
One to Justin Lucas, and I'll send one to you.
Well, dude, I appreciate it. Well, guys, we're gonna jump off here. Matt, thank you so much for joining me in tonight, guys. Make sure you like, share the video on social media. If not, no big deal either. I'm still gonna be here. We're gonna stream Saturday night. I don't know the topic. So after the stream video, come back and give me a topic to talk about Saturday night. I think we may talk some swim baits. I finally got my offshore stuff.
If Zaldane had caught him today, you could have talked about giant spoons. That's one I need to learn more about.
Oh, I know a ton of it.
Have you done a giant spoon show?
Dude, Ben Parker lives like 45 minutes from me. I did an old school.
Have you done one of those live streams?
Yeah. I did one with Ben at his shop years ago at Reelfoot Lake. I went on the water live with Clint Davis. Never went live on Facebook on the water, and I went on and he caught like 2 over 5 on the spoon. Of course, I'm short and Clint's like 6'8", and so most of it's just his tree trunk legs, and him boat flipping was like, oh yeah, I knew they'd eat that. That was before the Haynes incident, like on that exact spot. But dude, I've got some good spoon stories, man. You talking about a bait that I'm trying to wrap the stream up, but now we're talking spoons. But that bait right there, dude, you could literally go behind someone that's on a crankbait or football jig bite that's catching 19, 20 pounds. You come behind them with that spoon, you catch like.
It's like they never
30,
seen anything.
Yeah. So it's not a good bait to locate fish, and it's not a good bait that pick off individuals, but. That's just my opinion. Zaldane's way better fisherman than I am, but I know the whole story, how it came about. I had one of the first ones to hit Kentucky Lake. It was. This sounds selfish, but I wish it never had gone public. I really feel like between me and the people that had them, there's no telling how many thousands of dollars could have been won on that thing.
I gotta be honest. That's one of those baits, though, that if you're not. I feel like you have to be in the boat with someone who knows